This week, Jonny chats to Respawn Entertainment about what we can expect from Titanfall 2. We head off to a galaxy far, far away with LEGO Star Wars The Force Awakens, and we learn a bit more about the Technomancer, a post-apocalyptic sci-fi action RPG that's out right now. This is Player Attack. Hi, I'm Jessica Citizen, and this week the Australian Classification Board decided that a PlayStation Vita game was inappropriate for local audiences. May Q Labyrinth of Death, the second in the Makai Ichiban Kan series, has a T for teen rating in the US and is suitable for gamers aged 12 and above in Japan, but the Australian board found something a little uncomfortable about the dungeon crawler. While these days the board takes issues with games featuring drug use, violence, or a combination of the two, May Q is a little bit different. It's been refused classification due to sexualised content featuring what appears to be an underage character. Publisher Idea Factory has sincerely apologised for any inconvenience the effective ban may cause Australian fans, but it seems to have no intention of appealing the decision or submitting a modified version. Moving right along, here is a very large number for you. 8.6 billion. That's how many dollars Chinese company Tencent has spent to buy an 84.3% stake in Finnish developer Supercell, the studio that created Clash of Clans. That is even more than the ridiculous 5.9 billion that Activision Blizzard spent to acquire King Digital, the makers of Candy Crush. 20 is a much smaller number, but it is no less important. That's how old first-person shooter Quake is this year, and former developer John Romero has celebrated by releasing a few tasty tidbits from the id Software archives. One of these tidbits is a chunky text file named Quake Talk 95, compiled by superfan Just Sure, who wanted to create a single document that collated every reference he could find to the then upcoming shooter. According to Romero, just 1 month after the FAQ was released, it held a meeting that determined the final direction of the game, and we're told the finished version bears very little resemblance to some of the designs Shaw referred to. But that is not the only Quake celebration. The team at Machine Games has also built a new Quake episode, which you can download right now and play for free. It might not be much, but it could be just enough to hold you over until the upcoming launch of arena-based FPS, Quake Champions. A little crowdfunding news now, and Night Dive Studios has officially rebranded the game it's been working on for a while. It is no longer working on a System Shock remaster. Instead, the project is now a reboot of the classic game. With the Kickstarter campaign now live, there is also a brief playable demo for you to get your hands on. The developers say that the change is due to the resources and passion the team is putting into the project, and that things have elevated beyond the expectations someone would have for a remaster. There's no dates for this one just yet, of course, but keep an eye out for updates. And speaking of crowdfunding, we are sorry to say that the Fable collector card game Kickstarter has been cancelled, just a few days shy of its goal. That's the bad news. The good news? It was cancelled because the team at Flaming Fowl managed to secure outside funding for Fable Fortune, meaning the Kickstarter was no longer necessary. The developers are now focusing on creating a closed beta build of the game, which they're hoping to have in our hands as quickly as possible. But if you were among the 1,500 Kickstarter backers, you won't miss out on your hipster status. You will still be able to keep your money and be among the first in the world to play Fable Fortune with alpha build access guaranteed before the closed beta is on offer. One of the more surprising reveals at this year's E3 was a SpiderMan game in the works at Insomniac. We are happy to report that while we still don't know much about the upcoming comic tie-in, what we do know is making us very happy. It is a standalone story, not tied to any film or existing comic. It's actually set in an entirely new world that draws heavily from Marvel's Years of Archives. That world is an open-world adaptation of New York, and it may well include more than just Manhattan Island. We don't know who Spidey will be fighting, but we do know that it will be Peter Parker behind the web slingers, and he's been in the job for a while now, so he might be a bit older than you're expecting. The best thing that we know about Insomniac's new take on Spider-Man though, the demo that was shown off at the PlayStation press conference this year was running totally on a stock standard PS4. That's pretty cool. Another thing that was shown off at E3 was, again, Mass Effect Andromeda, and we're happy to report that after 3 years of teasers, we're finally starting to see some real details emerge. Firstly, and most importantly, while Andromeda is set in the same universe as the original trilogy, new character Ryder is waking up in a new galaxy. This means it doesn't matter what colour icing you had on your cupcake, everybody starts with the same clean slate. There will be a few things tying the game back to the originals, but in terms of story, all of those choices you made will amount to nothing. Secondly, a series of Mass Effect novels are on the horizon, set to fill in the gaps between the original games and Andromeda. The first Mass Effect Andromeda initiative is due out in August. It's not yet known which version of history the books will follow. And in movie news, something that should surprise absolutely nobody, the Warcraft movie is officially the highest grossing video game film in history. Sure, people might just be buying tickets just to see if it's actually as bad as everybody says it is. Spoiler, it's actually pretty good. But whatever their reason, tickets are tickets. Warcraft has taken more than $380 million since launch, with around 90% of that coming from outside the US. The driving geographic force behind the film's popularity has come from China, who has gone nuts for the adventures of Durotan, Corona, King Lane, and Medivh. It's already the 6th highest grossing release of 2016 in China, and those ticket sales are the ones likely to dictate whether or not we get a sequel. Duncan Jones has already said he'll return if he's invited, so here's hoping things don't take another 10 years. For more information on any of these stories, or to keep up to date with the latest gaming news, head to playerattack.com. But for now, stick around, we've got plenty more still to come.